we're about to move into question and answers. We have aid from Stella and Deritu, coming from Emerging Leaders Foundation. She insisted on several points, basically calling us to choose peace, but we have a choice to make. And the choice is with us. The key to peace is within us here, and the age group that is here, that is 70%, and this has cut across all the presenters have insisted on that. We can choose that, or we choose violence, but we have understood the consequences of choosing violence. We are going to lose so much over something that lasts for a short period. As Lucky Dube would say, that the Guns and Roses, in his song where he talks about peace and politics, for those who listen to reggae, I think you know, and Bob Marley would say, how long shall they kill our prophets while you stand and look? But little did you know that eventually the enemy will stand aside while we watch each other kill each other. Anyway, so basically, Stella invited us to choose peace. Then we heard from Nerima Wako from Siasa Place. From the background, I was wondering where she was going. Then I understood when she connected now how they started and what is going on. Yeah. And from there they started, and where we are today, you can see that there is a very big connection. They struggled to register that. They were told, what is this organization you are trying to register? And up to now, the experience in this country is like, you have to claim your space in Siasa, to say something, especially the youth. All they want is to abuse us as drivers of violence. But we should not do that. The reason they come to us is that they know that we are powerful and we can make that change. Yeah. Now, instead of using us to make a negative change, we can make a positive change. In Zambia, where I come from, there is something called Don't Kubeva. Don't Kubeva, it means don't tell them. For a long time, we tried to tell the youth not to get the bribes, but they were still getting. So what did we say? We said, okay, what we do is get whatever they give you, but at the end of the day, there is no God's eye in the booth. When you'll be voting, you'll be alone. So we'll know that you didn't vote for them. So get whatever they give you, but at the end of the day, make your choice. So you get what they give you, but don't throw stones, please, okay? They give you 5 million, take, but don't throw a stone. Who's going to know that you didn't throw a stone? There's no camera. So you teach them a lesson, get their money, but don't follow what they're trying to tell you. Yeah, so then like that, you claim your space, as we are taught by Nerima. Imam Abu Hamza has called us to make that connection with the boys and girls who are struggling to find the ends meet. You see in Kibra, I bet that's the name they call it, where he gives a scenario of a young boy who's seated there with a black plastic bag. He doesn't know what to do. So he's trying to connect with the social realities like poverty, the levels of unemployment, and so forth. And the politicians would come and give stories to these people to give them money to go and cause violence. But again there, we can choose peace. We have the opportunity. Now, when politicians are going there to speak, what about us? What are we doing? We are seated here. They are ahead of us. So we can choose to beat them in the game. If all of us here go out there and make more connections, the network expands, we preach the message of peace, we are going to reach out to that. At this point in time, we have benefited so much, we have ate so much. It's our time to interact with our panelists. We are going to have questions and answers. We'll be taking a round of 3 questions first, then the answer just like that, here and there. So I bet we start. My big brother is going to help me bring the mic around.
I'm a journalist. When I go to collect some news, when you just introduce a question, concerning politician, that person, tries to be like, what did you say? I cannot answer anything concerning politician. As in, they don't want to talk this. They don't want to be involved in politics at any point. And as one of you say, it is for us to participate in these politics. That's where we will get a solution. If we don't take part in these, then something might not go, as planned. So what do we do? As in, what's your advice on that? Because these people need to understand it. And you cannot go just there and start talking about something. Maybe I'm not a politician, so if I talk to them about politics, it will be somehow hard. So what do you say, or what's your thought about it?
I'm Daniel. The question goes to Wako. Okay, how do you make sure that even that person in that small slums get the information that you have put in your platforms? Thank you.
As for my friend Michael from Radio Mtani, about those who do not want to talk or engage in politics, I think there's something that we should say about the Kenyan politics is that we have been so much politically radicalized in Kenya, to the extent that the manifestos and the ideas and the principles do not matter anymore. It's like, as we speak now, majority of us Kenyans have already made up their minds as to who they are going to vote for, no matter what happens. So sometimes political discussions or persuasions are issues or matters that to some of us do not matter anymore. It's like we've made up a decision. This is our guy, irrespective of whether he's corrupt, because in Swahili we say, yeye ndio wetu, tutaanguka na yeye uko mbele. An old lady once told me like that, hata kama yeye hatapata, lakini nitampatia, tutaanguka wote uko mbele. Just to mean that she's already made up that mind. You cannot convince her or him whether this man is corrupt, whether this man is not the right person, but since he's our person, so this is the person we are voting. I think that is something regrettable about our political situation because of the way we have been radicalized. As to how we reach those who are down there, I think there's one thing that I've noticed with the youth, especially those who are within the communities, is that the emerging trend is that they're now getting organized through their leaderships. And if we try to touch the leaderships, if we try to get the leaderships, and I think some of us even seated here are beneficiaries of that system, because we rise from the ranks among the different youth groups to be where they are. Because we have even some people who are in politics, the MCAs, some of them just rose from being the leaders within the group. So if we try to get them and try to penetrate the groups or the youth down there through them, because they listen to them and they're like the game leaders first. So it's them that I think can make the changes.
Yes, I have to agree fully with what has just been mentioned. But speaking on your question, it's a very real situation. And that's why I mentioned about when we go for community dialogues, which we do on the ground, we do involve youth leaders. But not only that, we start by talking about issues. Because a lot of times we found that young people don't relate issues to governance. Okay? So as soon as you talk about an issue that's hurting to them, and then relate it to maybe the county government or leadership, then they begin to have a conversation with you. But it's the younger generation. That's a fact. The older generation is a completely different mindset. But I'd like us to recognize that I'm hopeful, because I believe that we're in a political shift. The rise of independent candidates, I want to say, is going to make a difference in our country. Because we used to vote just 6 piece. Where we're looking at the party alone, we don't quite care who the individual is. But when now we have people who are going as independents, people are now looking at names. And they're identifying with the individual, which means people are thinking. Okay? And so that, I believe, is going to cause a shift for us. And also with the Siasa place, we're hoping that we change Siasa to not sound negative, because it's something that has been brainwashed to us so that we stay away. And that's how control is being used. When you have bad leaders in these positions of power, it becomes more constrictive for us. And so that's something that we need to start conversing from the ground. And the most influential people that we found are actually gang leaders, even garbage collectors and mama boggers. Those are the power of communities. And so when it comes to even talking to those in rural areas, those are your relatives. I think we forget that this is a family unit. That's the base. So what are you talking about with your cousins, with your friends, with your mothers and your fathers and your aunties and your uncles? Start there. It's not about going and having all this funding to roll out a program. It's just having those conversations in your families. And that's why I talked about young people that I know who are voting against what parents and uncles have told them. That's the beginning.
Maybe I can start with what should we do with the people who do not have this information. Remember, I told you that it's about one person reaching one person. And like Nerima says, they are our relatives, and we just need to reach out to them. If all of us here reach out to just one person in the rural areas, I'm sure by the time we are getting to 8th of August, we'll have reached so many people. So don't worry about you reaching 100 people. No, just start with where you are. And trust me, you'll reach somewhere. And about those who do not want to be involved in politics, like you asked, I think it's about trying to make them understand how it affects the very basic needs. You know, that a young person will not listen to music without power supply. And for power supply, it's about the politician who represents that person in parliament, in the county government. It's about water. Are you able to take a shower? Are you able to cook with water? So if you do not follow up on what's happening politically, then that affects the quality of your life. It's about the sukuma we eat. It's about the unga. So if you do not care about politics, then you surely do not care about your life. That's it. Yeah. Young people need to care about their lives.
Several rallies and meetings, political meetings, whereby majority audience are the youth and the women. But funny enough, after the meetings, you'll find the politician leaves some little tokens, and this token is supposed to be divided. At the end of the day, it isn't divided equally, and thereby kunatokea shida. Then later on, this very, very politician goes to another, the same day, another place, has a rally or a meeting, gives out another amount. But let's say the amount is higher than what he gave in the first meeting. And you see, now this brings about conflict between the youth, because they are buying these votes. For us back home, we say that we can't vote someone who hasn't given us something. We try, there are several of us who try put sense in some of these youths and women, like, you know, you're buying this vote, and the moment this person gets to power, he'll treat you the way you treated him when he came out to look for the vote. So why can't we just look for leaders who are going to bring what we really want, the change we want in our place? But it has really been a great challenge, because I don't know how we are going to do it, because people fight even for only 20 shilling. The person gives 40 bob and this 20, each person has to get 20 bob, and people are fighting. I better have this 20 bob for water other than going without anything. This person has wasted my time. Because the meetings are basically, we need to get something from this politician. So how are we going to sort out this issue of buying votes?
I'm John Katimbwa from Matatu Welfare Association. I'm the National Vice Chairman. One, Madam Munerima, welcome aboard. This is what some of us wazes were going through. During the time of President Moi, he proscribed the Matatu Owners Association. He did not want to hear people of Matatu coming under one umbrella to articulate their issues. So welcome aboard. This is the way we have worked. It was until 1996 when we registered the Matatu Welfare Association. Can you see that lapse? Between 1988 and 1996. It's a big gap. But if you have to achieve anything, you don't get it on a silver platter. You have to struggle for it. I would say the reason why we are in this kind of a scenario, our politicians have perfected the game of poverty. Impoverize Kenyans, you rule them. That's why they will come around dishing out a few coins so that you fight over it and you vote him in. Not the ideologies, not what he stands for, not what he will bring to you. So it's imperative that we tell the youth, the elderly, everybody, any registered voter, to really assess and see the quality of the person they are voting for. This issue of six-piece suit is an outdated way of really gauging somebody's performance. I would say Wole Soyinka was very right when he said in his book, The Land and the Giver, that Chief Lakurule hated progress because of its nature, which makes all the roofs look the same. Yeah? Since he was a chief, he wanted his roof to look exceptional in the village, so that when you pass by, you know this is a chief's home. Our politicians have borrowed a leaf from that they want to maintain status quo at all costs. It's up to us to try and reach the electorate to see the kind of mischief these politicians are playing on us. That way, we will have to change the voters' mindset, because you will never find their daughters and sons participating in those demonstrations. They are using the sons and daughters of the poor to do that. Lastly but not least, in Matatu Welfare, we are peace ambassadors. We have really gone around the country to preach peace, and especially the youth. We are telling them that if they are given money, kule, lakini vote wisely. Because these people have stolen from us. They are just plowing back what they stole from us. So if you are being given what has been stolen from you, take it. But don't cause violence. We have so far moved around the whole of Nairobi, Mombasa, the whole of Mombasa, former Coast Province. We are going to Kajiado, Central, Lower Eastern. The message is peace, peace. We are using Mama Mboga, Matatu crews, who are very much vulnerable, because wakipatiwa kitu kidogo ya changa, they will lose direction, and we are preaching to them. If you move around town, you'll find some stickers in matatus advocating for peace. So we are on the track of maintaining peace.
About speaking out but not like getting violent. So how do you like in your situation for fighting for your place, like they get to a point you get very desperate because this is something you're fighting for. So in terms of like you want good leaders, so how do you get to have your opinion, like as youth, have your opinion considered, your voice heard, but not getting desperate to the point that you get like you resort to violence. Like Juliani said earlier, it's like youth sometimes get into violence because wanting to be recognized. So how do you get your voice heard, but still not resort to violent methods to get to feel as if you have some power or something like that?
For this opportunity. My name is Simon from Congo. I've been here in Kenya for 20 years now. I work with Tushirikiani Africa, one of the beneficiaries of Israel. My question goes to Stella about social media with the youth. I've seen that Kenyans, they use a lot of social media, and I commend them for that. There are some things which trends, and they can make anything trend. But when it comes to election on serious issues, they do not do that. Like recently there was a hashtag Fagia Wote, there is this one, Bunda Mechoka, something like that. Now, why don't they continue that thing until after the election? It's not a matter of one day or just a single moment for the election, even for the 5 years which are coming, and also for the last 5 years. What have you been doing since you are on social media? What have you been doing to preach peace? And also, another one goes to Shamsa of Sukep. He was talking about the youths at the base, where they eat miras and all that. They don't use Twitter or Instagram most of the time. So how can we reach them? Because they are the ones who are vulnerable. They are idle, most of them are idle. So the politicians use them. But us on the social media, we do not reach them. So how can we really reach them so that they avoid being used by the politicians?
Good morning. I believe there are two types of youth. The ignorant lot. Good morning. I believe there are two types of youth. The ignorant lot and the educated lot. And from this conference, we are focusing on the ignorant lot mostly. If we look towards the side of the educated youths, those that attend summits like this, to the panelists, do you think that they might be using such forums as ladders to reach to the top seats only to change what they once lived for? Like, let's say, if now they live for peace, then when they get to the top position, they become something else. Because I believe the leaders that we have today were once youths, and they are the ones we are complaining about, saying that they use our fellow youths to push their agendas. Do you think this is being used as a ladder, or rather such forums are being used as ladders to the top seats? And if so, what can be done to avert that?
The group of leaders we have currently in Parliament, I think there were once called the Young Turks during the agitation for multipartyism and they wanted more info. They were the Young Turks, and when they came into government, I think this is a post-Moi government. I think it's about 20 years we're talking about, and we're still complaining the same things that we were complaining when we were agitating for at the end of Kanu. I think it's a culture that is within our political class, and it's a disconnect between us, the Wananchi, and those positions, because it's like we're sending them. I believe the parliament we have, especially the current one and the one before this, we have had the best brains this country has ever produced. We had lawyers, we had doctors, we had even engineers in the two parliaments, but still the performance was below par. So I think one thing we have, yes, going forward we have to start discussing now. Do we need these people, or do we need people who we can, the homegrown ones, the ones we've seen growing, the ones we've seen working for the community, and the ones we've nurtured ourselves within the communities? I think this is what we have to discuss going forward.
The issue of buying votes is such a huge problem. Actually, it's frightening, to say the least, where I have been in rallies where it became violent. You're almost trying to hide for your life. And it's as little as you said, 20 shillings. And so those are some of the situations or scenarios that we're discussing. In terms of young people, our parents have no clue the challenges that we're facing when it comes to campaign financing. And speaking to people about, taking the money anyway and voting for the leader that you see fit to represent you. I don't know if that's good advice or the only advice that we can take, because when will it end? Because quite frankly, we did an article at Siasa Place whether is Wanjiku the individual to blame for expensive elections, because they're the ones demanding for it. Because when you speak to politicians, they're saying they need salary increments because they are supporting communities at Harambes or funerals. And that's why their salaries are so high. So that's their justification and why they are stealing. Because they need to feed the people. They're the ones begging for this money. But I have to agree, poverty, it's poverty. So people are using these avenues as business. We're seeing young people welcome a completely different political candidate to a field because they are charging them. And then the next day going and inviting another one the same. And so it goes back to our moral standards as a society. As much as we talk about being a Christian nation or even having Islam and Hinduism, do we follow what we preach? Because we do not. And this also sort of trickles down to a question that was posed from the back. We are not really engaging students in university settings like this. So we did a report in 2015 where we studied the University of Nairobi, okay? So you would think that this is an institution that a lot of our leaders have passed through, all right? And they are currently in governance at the moment. So we're seeing people like Babu Owino, all right, who are now going to perhaps be the MP of Embakasi. You'll probably get voted in. But when you look at the kind of leadership that he has, we can talk about voter bribery, corruption, intimidation. There was a murder case that year. Somebody died. So these are the people who are prospering in our country. Why is that? Why is it Anwai Guru or people who are related to court cases seem to be prospering in our country? But when you talk to young people, they say, you know, especially those in universities, educated, to them, it's easy or they prefer to be able to reach a position as long as they don't get caught doing it wrong. For them, it's getting caught. It's not the bad act, all right? And so we can even relate that to high school or class 8, where people now are trying to cheat to just get a standard grade or a grade where they feel they'll succeed in life, but they're not concerned about learning. So there are so many issues that we can bring out in terms of our young people and our children. But at the end of the day, what is our core? Because I feel that even when I read history, and that's something that we encourage people to do, to read if they can, and write if they should, is understanding our history. We can look at people as young as Anyang' Nyong'o, James Orengo, Raila Odinga. These guys were university leaders, all right? And so by the time they were our age, in their 20s, even 24, 25, they were in leadership positions. Tom Mboya was 26, okay, when he was Secretary General of our party. But now when we look at the age of 26, 27, we cannot relate them to leadership. In fact, leading a whole entity that rules a national country. All right, why is that? And so we've lost that sense that young people can lead, that they are capable of leading, and in a way, our systems have clipped opportunities or platforms to do that. So when you're finding that when you want to speak out and gather young people to be more conscious, you're finding yourself being sidelined. And that's one thing that I say about our administration. We front that it's such a free country, we're so lucky, we have access to ICT and all that and technology, but we are unaware that behind the scenes, they are completely vigilant on what you're saying online and what you're doing. By the way, they are very alert. And as much as we talk about hate speech online and nothing is being done, oh, it is. And they have secret intimidation interviews to stop you from having these discussions. That's there. So it's even scarier to live in a country where you feel that we're free, but we're not. It's almost a disguised freedom. So those are some of the discussions we need to have.
Very quickly, maybe on this issue of bravery and how it should be stopped and how young people actually complain that they didn't get to touch the bread even if it's 20 shillings. For me, it's about choice. Young people have to choose. And it boils down to the basic needs, like I was saying. Young people, if I would take a number of those of us who are here today and they are not able to join college or uni because they actually could not afford those fees, there are so many of us There's so many of us. And why? Because the government cannot provide quality education for all. Instead, all these funds, I don't know, are spent on so many irrelevant things.